One of my favorite parts about enjoying tea is the aroma. Now I have two different types here. So we have the kamairicha here and the Hojicha here. Konnichiwa, Pat Tokuyama here at All Day I Eat Like a Shark, where I share my Japanese cooking videos once a week showing you guys how to make Japanese food. Today what we're going to be doing is making kanten, and we're going to do it a few different ways. I have all of my ingredients here ready to go, which is just going to be some kanten, some water for soaking, and then we're actually going to be using some tea, two different types of tea today. We have some Hojicha, which is roasted green tea, and we have some tomomi kamairicha. This stuff is from Miyazaki-ken in Kyushu, so very delicious stuff, and that's what we're going to be using to flavor our kanten. This is bowl kanten, it's stick kanten. Essentially, this is made from algae, and first thing that you're going to do is rinse it, and then we're going to soak it in water. When you make kanten, or you're using bowl kanten, stick kanten is to soak it in some water, but first thing we're just going to rinse it. And we're actually going to do two different batches, so this is going to be good for about 2.5 cups of tea, and this is going to be good for another 2.5 cups of tea. So that's going to be our kanten recipe for today with a little bit of sugar for some sweetness. The first thing, we're just going to rinse it really quick. You can actually just break it into little pieces too, if you want. So I'm going to keep them in somewhat even pieces so I know which pieces go with each other and give them a squeeze. So do those 4 and then those 4. And I will see you back in about 30 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and cook it. You got to cook it for about 2 minutes. Make sure that it's at a boil, otherwise it's not going to firm up. At that point, we'll be using tea to make the kanten and a little bit of sugar, and then we'll be done. So that'll be our dessert. And we're going to serve this with Anmitsu. Basically, that is a Japanese style dessert. A little bit of red bean shiratama balls, white little balls made from glutinous rice. So they're a little bit soft and chewy. Maybe some anko, which is red bean, sweet red bean, and Kuromitsu, which is the black sugar, the okinawan black sugar syrup. So get excited. Alright guys, so it's been about 30 minutes and the kanten has been soaked, and what I've done is I've brewed about 2.5 cups of Hojicha here in these containers. It's still relatively warm, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and make some space. Put it in the first pot here. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to brew the kamairicha. This post was brought to you in partnership with EQ Tea, and they're a tea company based in Fukuoka, Japan, which is in Kyushu, the southern parts. And they have a lot of different teas that are from that area. So highly recommend checking them out if you haven't already. I have here about a tablespoon, 1 heaping tablespoon of the kamairicha. So we're going to go ahead and put this in here. And we're going to brew about 2.5 cups worth. So you can make it as strong or as dilute as you'd like, depending on your preferences. So we'll let this brew for about a minute and 30 seconds-ish. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and finish everything else up. So we're going to go ahead and dump out all this water, give it a little rinse, and you can actually squeeze these. They're very squishy. And then we're going to go ahead and put the heat on. I'll go ahead and start the Hojicha. We'll put in about 2 tablespoons of white sugar in both the Hojicha and also the kamairicha, which is the green tea, and bring it to a boil with the kanten. Make sure all the kanten is broken up. As soon as it's boiled for about 2 minutes, we'll go ahead and pour it into, I have some plasticware right here. You want to use something that's flat and somewhat shallow because you don't want thick cubes of kanten. At least I don't like thick cubes, so something that's somewhat shallow and flat. And then we're going to cut it into little pieces. First thing that we're going to do now is squeeze this out, squeeze out the excess water. And there's actually quite a bit here, so I'm going to keep these segregated. So this is how it looks. You can actually break these into even more pieces. You can see there's a lot of water that's coming out. And the good thing about this is that it's algae. It's not from horse hoof, is what I've been told gelatin is from. And it doesn't have a smell like gelatin. It smells like kanten, which is very neutral, if you ask me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in there, bring it to a boil, add in some sugar, and then we'll pour it into our molds. Gotta do the other one, almost forgot. That one's going to go in there. So I think this should just about be done. We have our tray set up. We'll put in a couple tablespoons of sugar. I don't like to put too much because we're going to be adding the Kuromitsu on top, as well as some anko, just a little bit to counteract some of the bitter flavors of Hojicha, if you know what I'm talking about. And then 2 tablespoons for the other. Start the heat there. Go ahead and pour this out. So we're going to do about 2.5 cups worth. Alright, so I need to do a second cup. My little teapot only holds 2 cups. Alright, so we'll let that go, and then we can put this in here. So just another 1/2 cup's worth, and then the other, make sure to stir this in. The kanten will dissolve. You can see that it's basically dissolved into the hot liquid. And it smells like sweet hojicha, which is freaking amazing. So as soon as it boils, we'll let it cook for about 2 minutes, and then we can pour it into our molds. And if you want to see how this one's doing, this one's also starting to melt. It's not quite hot enough yet, so there's still a good amount of chunks of kanten, but it will slowly dissolve, so don't worry. So question of the day, have you ever made kanten before at home? Let me know in the comments below, and if you haven't, let me know if you think you're going to try this recipe. One of my favorite things about eating kanten is that it has a very firm texture, a little bit more firm than coffee jelly, which is my other favorite dessert. You can use it for all kinds of different things. You can actually put fruit in it. You can use豆乳, soy milk. You can put regular milk. You can even use condensed milk. You can use almond flavoring, vanilla flavoring. It's very versatile. It goes very well with kakigori, for example. Or if you want to do like a parfait, matcha parfait, which is like a ice cream with a bunch of sides like anko shiratama, which is the white balls. There's quite a lot that you can do with it. So now we'll set the 2-minute mark. This is going pretty strong. So just wait a couple minutes here. So it doesn't need to be a roiling boil, so I'm just going to turn down the heat so that it's at a gentle boil, like a simmer. You can see that it's a little bit more viscous than it was initially. And turn down the heat here too. Now all of the kanten is dissolved. There's no more in this one either. And if you do see any chunks or little pieces, just give it a little bit of a stir and it'll eventually dissolve. Alright, so I think this one is done. What we're going to do now is pour it into the Tupperware that I have here. Smells amazing, especially if you like tea. We're gonna let this chill to room temperature. So we're just gonna let it chill on the counter. Then we'll put it in the fridge. Then it'll be hard enough to cut into little blocks and we'll be almost done with our dessert. So I'll see you back once it's cooled and we'll cut it and yeah, get excited. One of my little Tupperwares had a crack in it, I just realized, and maybe I should just use glass next time. Okay guys, I'm back. My kanten has nicely firmed up and this is how it looks. This is the kamairicha on the left and then the hojicha on the right. Even though we had a little mishap with the leaking, we're all good now. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it up into little squares using a knife, and then we're actually going to have our little dessert. So we're going to do some Anmitsu today. I have my shiratama here, as well as some azuki on the stove, anko, fresh or sweet red bean, and I have some Kuromitsu here, homemade black okinawan sugar syrup. And I usually like to do little squares, so it's up to you how you want to cut it, but little squares should be just fine. You don't need to push too hard, just make sure that you're going all the way through, otherwise it might not come out. Do note that this contains tea, which contains caffeine, so if you're going to be eating this at nighttime, you might want to go easy on it, otherwise you're going to stay up all night. You can actually omit all of the sugar if you want a very neutral tea flavor as opposed to a sweet one. That's for you to experiment with and see how you like it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get some of this out. Go ahead and try to get out these little squares. So here's how it looks. So we'll try to alternate. We'll do some hojicha and then some of the kamairicha. This is a very adult-like dessert since we're using tea. Alright, some beautiful squares here. And we can put in a few little shiratama balls. Alright guys, so here it is. This is how it looks. This is my Anmitsu with kamairicha, hojicha, kuromitsu, and some shiratama. Almost forgot the anko. After all that work, I almost forgot the anko. It's still a little warm, but it's all good. Just gonna top this with some kuromitsu and we will be ready to go. Alright guys, here it is. This is a very delicious dessert and hope you guys get a chance to try it. Not too bad putting together the kanten. If you've never done that before, it's pretty straightforward. Same with the shiratama and same with the azuki, the anko. The kuromitsu is easy as well. Itadakimasu. My favorite part, can you guess? It is the shiratama. So coming up next time, I wonder what we're going to be making with the kanten. What can we make next? I wonder. There's only one way to find out. See you in my next video. Hope you guys give this a try. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the alarm bell for notifications for when I post new videos. And other than that, I'll see you in my next video. China. Bye bye.